recipients a raise. 6 months after Columbine, most kids say it could happen in their school. And crime and punishment in America. A child on trial for a murder committed when he was 11 years old.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Good evening. Dan is off tonight. I'm Bob Schieffer. After years of denials, the U.S. Defense Department today reversed itself and now says it can identify a possible cause for Gulf War syndrome. That's the illness affecting tens of thousands of veterans. It's an experimental drug given to U.S. troops to protect against a deadly nerve agent. A new study says this drug cannot be ruled out as a cause, though it was ruled out in earlier government studies. David Martin has our report.
For Barry Kaplan, the 9 years since he was a young Army officer in the Persian Gulf War have been a medical nightmare.
Dizziness, memory loss, visual field loss. It's a daily basis that I deal with these things.
He's out of the Army, can't hold a job, can't even be a good father at times.
I can't do the things that a 41, 42-year-old father would be doing with his 4 children.
This Pentagon report offers a possible explanation for the maladies which have afflicted Kaplan and tens of thousands of other Gulf War veterans. There's no proof yet, but the Pentagon now has evidence that Gulf War illness could be a self-inflicted wound. A tiny pill called pyridostigmine bromide, PB for short, was given some 250,000 American soldiers to give them a better chance of surviving a poison gas attack.
These were the magical nerve agent antidote pills that were going to fix everything except the lack of beer in theater.
But after years of assuring veterans PB was safe, the Pentagon now admits it can't rule out a possible connection between PB and Gulf War illness. New research on animals, like mice being forced to swim, has produced evidence that stress can cause PB to cross from the bloodstream into the brain, where it can produce symptoms identical to Gulf War syndrome.
PB acts on a chemical in the nervous system that's known to regulate sleep, pain, muscle action, mood, and cognitive function.
Beatrice Golem says more research needs to be done, and quickly, because right now PB is the only defense against an attack by a deadly nerve gas known as soman.
It is incredibly lethal. The department's aware that they may lose 100% of their troops if they, in fact, encounter a nerve agent like soman on the battlefield.
The Assistant Secretary of Defense for Health says PB has not been used since the Gulf War, but despite the doubts raised by the study, she would prescribe it again.
I am willing to take that risk if, in fact, on the battlefield, our troops can die from one deep breath, and we can protect them with a pre-treatment like pyridostigmine. It's no contest.
That stuff is still in the active inventory to protect our force. So I'm a little irritated about that. I'm real irritated.
It won't help Barry Kaplan, but Pentagon officials say that from now on, they will have to seek convincing intelligence the enemy is about to use soman before they order the troops to take PB. Whether the troops will obey is another question about PB, which officials can't answer. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The government had some good news today for retirees. There will be no increase next year in Medicare premiums, and Social Security recipients will get their biggest cost of living raise in 3 years. That was triggered by today's report on inflation, which shows it running 2.8% this year. That is nearly twice last year's rate, but it was still low enough to give stock prices a boost today. The Dow closed up 88 points. Anthony Mason has our report on that.
Earnings are right in line. Wall Street finally found a reason to rally today when the consumer price index numbers came out and soothed inflation fears.
We got out of the chute very strong and up 200 at one point. So I guess you'd have to say they were right where they ought to be.
While the consumer price index jumped 0.4% in September, much of that was due to a sudden spike in gasoline and cigarette prices. The price of a pack rose 18 cents, or 6%, as cigarette companies passed on the cost of multi-billion-dollar legal settlements.
The economy is showing a little bit of moderation right now. Inflation, again, it's just not there. We don't have any.
And slowed by higher interest rates and Hurricane Floyd, housing starts actually fell last month, a sign the economy is cooling off a bit.
Pershing 1331.
But Wall Street has not completely recovered from last week's 600-point plunge, its worst weekly fall in a decade.
You know, we have to keep in mind here that the performance of our economy in this decade is so unprecedented that we don't have any historical track record to look back on and to see what happens next, because we're off the roadmap right now.
So the stock market remains jittery, and despite the Dow rally today, almost half of all stocks actually went down.
The market internals continue to be anemic, and to me that is the clearest message that we could get that we're not out of the woods yet.
And many economists are still betting Fed Chairman Greenspan will raise interest rates again next month. But the inflation numbers did deliver some good news for the 44 million Americans receiving Social Security. They'll get a 2.4% cost of living raise in January, nearly double this year's increase. Bob?
Thank you, Anthony. A couple of high-profile companies made their Wall Street debuts today as initial public offerings. Homemaker turned moneymaker Martha Stewart rang the opening bell, and her Martha Stewart Omni Media stock doubled in price, closing over $35 a share. And stock in the World Wrestling Federation shot up about 50%, closing at $25.25. U.S. government today filed criminal charges against McDonnell Douglas, accusing the aircraft maker of shipping high-tech tools to China to make military hardware. Boeing, which bought McDonnell Douglas 2 years ago, promised to fight the charges. It says that China diverted the tools. Reform legislation to rein in campaign spending by closing a loophole in the law which allows special interests to give unlimited sums of money to the political parties all but died in the Senate today. Supporters of the legislation were unable to break a Republican filibuster and bring the legislation to a vote. Diana Olick has our report.
That's President Clinton last night in New Jersey, raising $500,000 for the Democrats.
Other voters.
And that's the Republican-led Senate today voting to all but kill campaign finance reform.
I'd call it pretty dead, you know.
The killer is always soft money, those unlimited contributions lawmakers love to say they hate but can't live without.
It's wrong. For 7 months, he lied to us.
Soft money, often used to buy negative ads, is unregulated cash which can be given to a political party, not an individual candidate. It flows at fancy dinners held by both parties and out of the pockets of donors like Chinese businessmen or from the president selling sleepovers in the Lincoln bedroom. Here he explains to a group of donors how to get around the caps on contributions to individual candidates.
We could run these ads through the Democratic Party, which meant that we could raise money in $20,000 and $50,000 and $100,000 blocks.
Despite today's vote, the chief opponent of soft money says he'll keep fighting.
I believe that someday the American people are going to become so incensed by the amount of money that is now washing around our political system that they will hold senators accountable for their votes on this issue.
A new study shows national parties raised almost $250 million in soft money for last year's election. But that's nothing compared to a presidential year. No surprise then that this contentious Congress is making sure the money keeps rolling in. Diana Olick, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a test for American justice. A boy described as a cold-blooded killer at age 11. Violence in the schools and what's behind it. A report on the 6-month anniversary of Columbine. And a new health benefit from walking. Would you believe diabetes prevention?
Look, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Ellie's renting again. And Enterprise picked her up again. She said Enterprise picks her up free. Free? Free. Now that makes renting easy.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up. Don't wait one more day. Ask your doctor now about Flonase nasal spray or call 1-800-FLONASE. When your doctor writes your prescription for Flonase nasal spray, you'll be glad you took the time. Why wait? All you want is Flonase.
Be afraid, potato chips. Be very afraid.
Introducing Quaker Crispy Minis. Light and crispy with a flavor so intense, you'll forget they're good for you. So let the mouth-watering begin. New Quaker Crispy Minis Rice Snacks. The rice snack that eats like a chick. Try new barbecue and sour cream and onion flavors.
Our latest innovation springs from a very old idea, that heat cleans better. And so, Bissell introduces the first and only upright deep cleaner with an onboard heater. A common sense idea to make cleaning even cleaner. The new Power Steamer Pro Heat Plus from Bissell. Life's messy. Clean it up.
The U.S. justice system is on trial in Michigan tonight, along with a boy accused of murder for a crime committed when he was 11 years old. Cynthia Bowers is covering the trial.
At the age of 13, Nathaniel Abraham is anything but a typical teenager. His prosecution marks a turning point in the juvenile justice system.
The only thing about these proceedings that he understands is that one potential penalty is that he could be sent to prison for the rest of his life.
Nate has grown 3 inches and put on 35 pounds since his arrest 2 years ago, when he became perhaps the first 11-year-old ever to face life in prison without parole. He was arrested in his classroom wearing his Halloween costume, but even his defense team admits his guilt.
Obviously, Nate shot the gun that killed this man. Look, that's not an issue in this case.
The man he killed was 18-year-old Ronnie Green Jr., who was walking outside this convenience store. Nate says he was aiming at trees. Prosecutors call it a cold-blooded execution.
He was bragging about what he was going to do to his friends beforehand, said he was going to go out and shoot somebody, and then he followed through with his stated intent.
Because Nate was already well known to police, the suspect in nearly 24 violent crimes, the district attorney's office decided to prosecute him under a new state statute, one that had the power to keep him off the streets for good.
I just don't want to have another victim on his list because we felt he was too young.
Mike Bouchard wrote the law that allows young criminals to be charged as adults and serve adult time.
And society needs to have the ability to protect themselves from them.
Up to now, people in this country understood 11-year-olds cannot be held to the same standard as adults because they're 11. They're not 21.
If Nate Abraham is convicted, it is the judge who will determine not only his sentence, but how far society is willing to go to protect itself from children. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Pontiac, Michigan.
Hundreds of high school students from all over the country went to Washington today to mark the 6-month anniversary of the massacre at Columbine High School. It's a conference sponsored by House Democrats on violence and what to do about it. CBS News Chief White House correspondent John Roberts has our report. John?
Bob, the president issued some words of encouragement today, citing new federal studies that show overall the rate of violence in the nation's schools is on the decline. But he said, despite that decline, the dangers that American students face is unacceptable.
No serious person believes that America is as safe as it ought to be. And every day we lose more than a dozen kids to violence.
6 months after the massacre at Columbine High, a new CBS News New York Times poll shows that violence remains the #1 concern among teens at school. And 53% of teens now believe an incident like Columbine could happen in their school. In fact, new Department of Education statistics show that while homicides in general are down at school, mass killings have increased.
Oh, I think there's a definite fear at schools.
Peter Henderson never used to think much about violence. A Columbine student, he now says if a month goes by without a school shooting, he breathes a sigh of relief.
Because we're not dealing with the bubblegum stealing problems that they once dealt with in public schools. We're dealing with life and death issues.
As students sought ways to diffuse conflict at today's Youth Violence Conference on Capitol Hill, our poll showed that 22% of teens believe violence was a result of students being made fun of. And more than half report knowing of a group of outcasts in school who may be prone to violence.
The president and Congress have been wrestling over whether the nation needs new laws to deal with the problem or better enforcement of the ones it has. But both sides will get some new ideas tomorrow when students present their own proposals to Congress to curb youth violence. Bob?
Thank you, John. Next up on the CBS Evening News, a U.S. panel says it is okay to use a Puerto Rican island for live ammunition practice. Puerto Rico's governor says no.
Fortunately, there's Nasonex nasal spray, an effective nasal allergy prescription medicine taken once a day to relieve nasal allergy symptoms, indoors and out. Now that's wonderful. The most common side effects were headache, viral infection, sore throat, nosebleeds, and coughing.
Right now at LensCrafters, you can get a complete pair of great-looking glasses for only $99 in your choice of hundreds of the latest styles.
The LensCrafters $99 complete pair sale.
Only $99. You can't afford to miss an offer like this.
Hurry, offer ends soon.
Sundown Herbals presents its remarkable Twist and Learn label. It works like an herbal information center that helps you learn about herbs simply by turning the label. Sundown's new Twist and Learn label, where to turn for help.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
These days, everybody wants whiter teeth.
Including me, and I wear dentures.
New Polident Whitening Mouthwash not only freshens your breath, it whitens dentures in just 2 weeks. New Polident Whitening Mouthwash.
It's giving denture wearers a lot to smile about.
I will make sure I get my piece of the technology pie.
It's true. Some technology stocks have been big winners, but others have declined sharply. If you believe in the opportunities presented by technology companies, let Fidelity Expertise help guide you.
These Fidelity Select funds invest in companies that benefit from technological advances. See what Fidelity Money Management Excellence can do for you. Get the fact kit today. Call 1-800-FIDELITY or visit fidelity.com.
It was a day of big decisions in Indonesia. The country's parliament voted to reject President B.J. Habibie's bid to stay in office. They'll choose a new president tomorrow. The parliament also voted to recognize the independence of East Timor, clearing the way for it to become the world's newest nation. The province is still battered from an orgy of violence by pro-Indonesian forces after it voted for independence in August. The long-running political battle over the U.S. military conducting live-fire exercises on a Puerto Rican island exploded today on Capitol Hill. A U.S. panel recommended that the live ammunition exercises resume for now, but the government of Puerto Rico said in no uncertain terms, not one more shot. Scott Pelley talked to the governor in a report for tonight's 60 Minutes 2. Scott?
Bob, tonight the governor of Puerto Rico says that he will allow human shields to occupy a U.S. Navy bombing range to prevent the Navy from resuming live-fire training. The battle is over an island called Vieques, just off Puerto Rico's east coast. The Navy has used Vieques as a live-fire range for more than 50 years. It's the only place the Atlantic Fleet can practice an all-out assault with real bombs. But 6 months ago, a Marine Corps pilot missed his target and hit an observation post, killing a civilian security guard. After that, protesters invaded the beach as human shields. The governor of Puerto Rico says the Navy will never use Vieques again.
The people of Puerto Rico will not allow that. We will have people there in the bombing ranges. And if they arrest or remove some of them, there's going to be another wave.
In the meantime, the aircraft carrier Eisenhower is steaming off Vieques with 70 planes and no targets to hit. The Navy says the carrier will soon be bound for Iraq and its pilots may not be ready.
It's about combat risk. The reason we do this live fire training is because we need to prepare our people for this potential, this eventuality. If we don't do it, then we put them at very, very direct risk. And this is the problem at Vieques. That's why this place is so important to the Navy and the nation.
Puerto Rico's governor told Congress today that he is flatly rejecting a compromise plan that would phase out Navy training over 5 years. Tonight, on 60 Minutes 2, we will fly with the F-14 pilots from the Eisenhower to see why the Navy says it can't be ready for war without Vieques. Bob?
Thank you, Scott. Next up on the CBS Evening News, Walking for Diabetes. It's not a fundraiser for a cure, it's a way to prevent diabetes.
I'm concerned about my cholesterol. Got a bike. Cutting back on junk food. But it's not all that easy. Fortunately, my wife Joy discovered a new spread called Take Control. Take Control is made from natural soybean extract. Studies suggest it helps to lower bad cholesterol up to 10%. That's why Take Control helps promote my healthy cholesterol levels. And it's delicious.
New Take Control, a weapon to help lower cholesterol.
Can you believe it? My husband, Nolan Ryan, has arthritis. So his doctor says, stay active and take Advil to make it easier. I take it for my arthritis pain. So we can exercise together.
Advil, stronger than pain. You've dreamed of opening your own place. Now stay healthy and energetic and enjoy it. Give your life a silver lining with Centrum Silver. Its age-essential nutrients may help maintain your immunity and help keep your heart healthy. Give your life a silver lining with Centrum Silver.
About free computers, but we haven't actually seen one. Not one with a monitor, 24-hour tech support, loads of software, and a printer, like a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor. Call us. For $30 a month, it's a PC you can believe in.
The inspiration for the new LeSabre didn't just come from a research center or design facility. It also came from your family. Introducing the all-new 2000 LeSabre, re-engineered with more safety features than any other car in its class. The new 2000 LeSabre by Buick.
A major study out tonight in the Journal of the American Medical Association suggests regular exercise may not only help fight diabetes in adults, it may actually prevent the disease. We have a report on that from Randall Pinkston.
When 54-year-old Leslie Hermit recently took a routine blood test, he learned he had adult-onset type 2 diabetes.
Came back showing that I had sugar in the blood.
Hermit becomes one of 15 million Americans with a disease that has become so common, some doctors call it an epidemic. Type 2 diabetes is usually the result of being overweight, causing sugar and insulin levels to be out of balance. There is no cure, but a study from the Harvard School of Public Health says there is a way to prevent it. Exercise on a regular basis.
Our research suggests that people can cut their risk of type 2 diabetes nearly in half if they can spend 1 hour or so walking briskly every day.
The study followed 70,000 women over 8 years. Walking was the most common exercise. The faster the pace, the more they were able to reduce their risk. The same applies to men. Dr. Robin Golan has long advocated the benefits of exercise to prevent and to treat diabetes.
Exercise helps the body use sugar more efficiently. And the problem in type 2 diabetes is that your body doesn't use sugar normally. So anything you can do to help that reduces the risk.
Leslie Hermit vows to change.
You're willing to exercise? Of course, yes.
A lot more than you have been.
Everyone should, if it's going to preserve their life, yes.
The study recommends everyone get at least 1 hour of exercise, but it can be spread throughout the day. Walking at lunch, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, whatever you choose. The important thing is to do it. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, New York.
On the CBS Weather Watch tonight, the 7th hurricane of the season, Hurricane Jose, now threatening an island chain in the eastern Caribbean and could track to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic later in the week. Forecasters say it is too early to predict whether the hurricane will reach the U.S. mainland. Coming up next, taking the axe to the last of the Liberty trees.
Shannon Sharp, please. Has always talking trash.
You're paying, baby!
He's always trying to get inside your head.
Seahorse, you don't know your elbows from your...
And sometimes, he can get downright nasty.
I bet you pay transaction fees on your mutual funds. Your mama pays full commission. You know how to calculate a P/E ratio?
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm...
How diversified is your portfolio?
We created a smarter kind of investor.
You can't even spell Dow Jones. Woo! Okay, guys, let's get this right. To calculate a P/E ratio, you divide the stock price.
Well, looky here. $1. Must be my lucky day. But is it really worth it to bend down and pick it up? It's only $1 after all. You can't buy anything good with that. Of course. I forgot about 10-10-220. All calls up to 20 minutes are just 99 cents, and only 9 cents a minute after that, with no monthly fee. Well, I guess $1 really is worth something. Hey, I saw it first.
Dial 10-10-220.
Right now at LensCrafters, you can get a complete pair of great-looking glasses for only $99 in your choice of hundreds of the latest styles.
The LensCrafters $99 complete pair sale.
Only $99. You can't afford to miss an offer like this.
Hurry, offer ends soon.
Try genuine Bear gel caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. Bear gel caps, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
Our latest innovation springs from a very old idea that heat cleans better. And so, Bissell introduces the only upright deep cleaner with an onboard heater. The new Power Steamer Pro Heat Plus from Bissell. Life's messy. Clean it up.
We have an update tonight on Dr. Jerry Nielsen, the ailing doctor who was rescued from the South Pole Research Station and flown back to the United States. In a written message, Dr. Nielsen confirmed she has breast cancer, said she wants to thank everyone involved in her rescue, and now asks everyone to respect her privacy. And finally tonight, during the American Revolution, colonial forces throughout the colonies often designated trees as meeting places to plot their next moves. The trees came to be called Liberty Trees and became symbols of the Revolution. As time went by, all of them died except this one on the campus of St. John's College near Annapolis, Maryland. The 400-year-old tulip poplar, it survived British troops who chopped down many of the Liberty Trees, as well as disease and repeated lightning strikes. But it will not survive Hurricane Floyd. Winds from the big storm fractured the trunk, and college officials say it poses such a hazard now, it will have to be cut down. A state arborist said, the time has come to say goodbye to our old friend. Well, that's the news. Here's Dan Rather now with a preview of tonight's 60 Minutes 2.
This top police colonel lost his job over what he said, and he has even more to say to us.
I made the statement that the drug culture, parts of it, are basically controlled by minorities.
That's what got you in trouble?
That's what got me in trouble. I was fired, I guess, for being insensitive, whatever that is.
But the question is, did his state police pull people over as suspects just because of their race?
60 Minutes 2, tonight at 9, 8 Central Time here on CBS. Dan Rather will be back here tomorrow. This is Bob Schieffer, CBS News in New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the Internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.
When they sent their son off to college, they never expected him to die, and certainly not of a rare disease. But it happened, and college students are more at risk than ever before. Tomorrow, why students are at risk and what's being done. If you're a college student or if you know one, don't miss our report on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
The Early Show with Brian Gumbel and Jane Clayson, starting November 1st. Experience CBS.